5 minutes ago, the man who was once the godfather of their escape officially transformed into the architect of their downfall. Fresh intelligence filtering out of London suggests that Princess Anne has been briefed on a brutal private phone call that has reportedly left Prince Harry shaking behind the gilded gates of Montecito. We are no longer dealing with vague tabloid rumors or whispered speculation. We are talking about a direct financial death threat from the one man who saved them when the palace doors slammed shut, Tyler Perry. According to explosive new reports, the billionaire media mogul has drawn a line in the sand and issued a strict 30-day ultimatum. The message delivered to the Sussexes was terrifyingly simple. Pay back the millions you borrowed to secure that mansion, or I will see you in court. This is the moment the Sussex fairy tale crashes into the cold, hard wall of reality. For years, Harry and Meghan have curated an image of wealthy, self-made entrepreneurs. But insiders, and specifically Princess Anne, know the truth. They didn't buy their freedom, they financed it. And now the hidden loan that built their paradise has come due. Harry is reportedly in a total panic, and he should be. Because a lawsuit from Tyler Perry doesn't just mean losing the house. It means discovery. It means every secret text, every loan agreement, and every financial record is forced into the daylight. But how did it come to this? To understand why this eviction threat is so credible and why Princess Anne is reportedly watching this unfold with a grim sense of inevitability, we have to rewind the tape to the chaotic spring of 2020. This was the height of Megxit. Harry and Meghan had just crash-landed in Los Angeles with no plan, no permanent home, and crucially, they had been cut off from the royal vaults by King Charles. For the first time in his life, Harry was financially naked. This is where Tyler Perry stepped in. At the time, the world thought he was just a generous friend providing a safe house, but intelligence suggests his role went much deeper. He wasn't just a host, he became their shadow banker. When the couple found their dream home, the Chateau of Riven Rock, the price tag was a staggering $14.6 million. Even for a prince, that is a heavy lift, especially one who had just lost his allowance. Reports indicate that while they had some savings, they hit a massive wall with the down payment gap. In the high-stakes world of California real estate, you need liquid cash to close a deal fast. They didn't have it. Sources allege that Tyler Perry wired a massive sum rumored to be around $7 million to help bridge that gap. But here is the detail that Princess Anne reportedly finds the most damning: there was allegedly no formal contract. Because of the urgency and their close friendship, the deal was structured informally. No lawyers drafting 50-page agreements, no repayment schedule, just a handshake, just trust. From the perspective of Princess Anne, a woman who manages her estates with military precision, this was Harry's fatal error. She reportedly views this transaction as the ultimate proof of Harry's royal naivety. You see, Harry grew up in a palace where money was an abstract concept. It just appeared. If a wealthy donor gave money to a royal cause, it was patronage. It was a gift to support the crown. Harry likely viewed Tyler Perry's millions through this same lens. He saw Perry as a modern-day fairy godfather who was simply bestowing a gift upon the chosen couple. But Tyler Perry is not a royal patron. He is a self-made billionaire who slept in his car to build his empire. He counts every single penny. To a man like Perry, this $7 million wasn't a gift. It was venture capital. He was investing in brand Sussex. He believed their hype. He thought he was giving a bridge loan to a startup that would soon be worth billions. He expected a return on his investment, if not in interest, then in influence, connection, and eventual repayment when the Netflix money hit. Princess Anne sees the tragedy clearly. Harry thought he was getting a friend, but Perry thought he was getting an asset. And in the brutal world of American business, when an asset becomes a liability, the investor pulls the plug. But the financial misunderstanding was only the spark. What fueled the fire was the behavior that followed a chapter Princess Anne reportedly calls the silent treason. In the world of high finance, borrowing money is not a sin. Even billionaires leverage debt. But there is a cardinal rule that separates honorable business from theft communication. According to the leaked timeline, as the repayment expectations approached and the cash flow from their media deals started to dry up or get delayed, Harry and Meghan allegedly made a catastrophic tactical error. They stopped answering the phone. Let that sink in for a moment. We are talking about the man who gave them a home when they were homeless, the man they asked to be the godfather of their daughter. And yet sources suggest that as the financial pressure mounted in Montecito, the Sussexes retreated into a fortress of silence. Texts went unanswered. Friendly check-ins were ignored. Questions about the loan were reportedly brushed aside as if they were ancient history. They essentially ghosted him. From the perspective of Princess Anne, this behavior is not just rude. It is a symptom of a much deeper pathology she calls aristocratic arrogance. Anne suspects that Harry, raised in the bubble of royalty, genuinely believed that his star power was collateral enough. He likely thought, Tyler is a billionaire. He doesn't need this money back. He should be honored just to be associated with us. They seemingly adopted the royal strategy of the stiff upper lip and silence, perhaps thinking that a Hollywood mogul wouldn't bother chasing what they considered chump change. But this is where they fundamentally misunderstood the man they were dealing with. Tyler Perry didn't inherit a duchy. He built his studios brick by brick. For a man who rose from poverty to owning a media empire, this kind of dismissal is the ultimate disrespect. To Perry, this wasn't about the money anymore. It was about honor. As the dossier notes, when someone lends you millions informally, the bare minimum currency is communication. By refusing to pick up the phone, Harry and Meghan sent a clear message: we used you, and now that we have the house, we are done with you. Princess Anne finds this conduct particularly dishonorable. Remember, Anne is a woman who reportedly sits down every evening to handwrite responses to letters from the public. She values courtesy above all else. For her, the ghosting proves that Harry has lost his moral compass. He has traded the royal code of duty for the Hollywood code of use and discard. Tyler Perry reportedly began to feel that he was being taken for granted. He realized he wasn't viewed as a cherished friend or a mentor anymore. He was being treated as a fallback, a safety net they only acknowledged when they were falling. This ghosting pattern suggests a terrifying level of entitlement. They thought they could simply freeze him out watching him from afar while they flew around the world on faux royal tours and bought designer clothes, all while his texts remained on read. They gambled that Tyler Perry would be too polite to make a scene. But silence is a dangerous weapon. When you use it against a friend, it hurts. But when you use it against a creditor, it provokes a war. The silence from Montecito wasn't interpreted as dignity. It was interpreted as calculation. And that calculation is what triggered the phone call that changed everything. The silence was intended to be a shield, but it ended up being the catalyst. According to the intelligence briefing that has reportedly reached Princess Anne, the fortress of silence was finally breached by a single phone call. Sources describe it as the brutal call. It wasn't a long conversation. It didn't need to be. Tyler Perry, a man whose time is worth thousands of dollars a minute, didn't call to catch up. He called to close the account. When Harry finally picked up, perhaps realizing he could no longer ghost the man who holds the keys to his secrets, he reportedly expected a lecture. He expected an angry friend venting about hurt feelings. But he didn't get emotion. He got business, and that is far more terrifying. Insiders suggest Perry's tone was ice cold, the voice of a man who built a studio empire by being ruthless when necessary. The message was delivered with surgical precision. You have 30 days. Why was this specific conversation so devastating? Because Tyler Perry didn't just demand the money, he threatened the one thing Harry and Meghan cannot survive: the truth. Reports indicate that Perry made it clear, if the money isn't wired in 30 days, I will instruct my lawyers to file suit. Harry knows what that means. In the American legal system, a lawsuit triggers a process called discovery. Perry reportedly warned them that once he files that docket, his legal team will have the right to demand everything. Imagine the scene. Meghan, realizing the danger, likely tried to intervene. She is the master of the narrative, the one who talks her way out of corners. But sources suggest Perry wasn't interested in her version of events. The dynamic had shifted. He wasn't speaking as Lilibet's godfather anymore. He was speaking as a creditor. He holds the receipts. He knows exactly how much they borrowed, how much they spent on security, and exactly when the handshake deal was made. The threat was implicit but clear. Do you want the world to see your bank statements? Do you want the public to know you are living on borrowed money? If not, pay up. For Princess Anne, looking at this from across the ocean, this moment represents the total collapse of Harry's judgment. She knows that Tyler Perry was the gold standard of their American support system. By pushing him to this point, by forcing him to become an enemy, Harry has effectively burned the only bridge that really mattered. The call ended with a click. There was no goodbye, just a deadline. And as Harry put down the phone, the reality of the discovery trap began to set in. Getty Images. Why is Prince Harry reportedly terrified? Why is Meghan Markle, a woman who has fearlessly navigated global media storms, suddenly silent? It isn't just the debt. They could technically sell jewelry or liquidate assets to cover that if they absolutely had to. No, the real terror lies in that single legal term discovery. To the average person, being sued is a headache. But to the Duke and Duchess of Sussex, a lawsuit from Tyler Perry represents a catastrophic exposure event. Princess Anne understands better than anyone that the monarchy survives on mystery. But in an American civil lawsuit, there is no mystery. This legal mechanism gives Tyler Perry's lawyers the right to demand everything relevant to the financial dispute. We are talking about a forensic autopsy of their entire American life. If Perry files that docket, he can legally demand bank records, loan agreements, emails, text messages, tax returns, and asset disclosures. Think about the implications. For the past 4 years, Harry and Meghan have carefully curated their image through friendly interviewers like Oprah or heavily edited Netflix documentaries. They controlled the lighting, the questions, and the narrative. But a judge does not care about your truth. A judge cares about the truth. In the process of discovery, there is no PR spin. There is no editing room. Princess Anne reportedly fears that this process would expose the foundation of lies that the Sussex brand is built upon. Imagine the text messages Harry sent to Tyler Perry when the Spotify deal collapsed. Did he panic? Did he insult his business partners? Imagine the emails Meghan sent regarding the down payment gap back in 2020. Did they admit they were broke? Did they promise things they couldn't deliver? All of this becomes public record. It would expose every handshake deal, every temporary bridge, every promise tied to future projects that never materialized. It would shatter the foundational myth of their success, the myth of financial independence. If the records show that their lavish lifestyle was funded entirely by handouts from billionaires borrowing from Peter to pay Paul, then the brand of the self-made royal entrepreneurs is dead. But it gets darker. Princess Anne is reportedly looking at a much bigger risk. Sources indicate that when personal finances wobble, institutional rot often follows. Insiders have long alleged blurred lines between personal lifestyle costs, foundation expenses, and property usage. Did charity money pay for the house security? Did foundation funds cover their private travel? In a lawsuit, forensic accountants will tear through these accounts to trace the flow of money. And as the source text notes, when auditors circle, accounts freeze. This explains the frantic asset reviews and the deafening silence from Montecito right now. They know that if one loose thread is pulled by Tyler Perry, the entire tapestry could unravel. This is the ultimate irony that Princess Anne likely sees with a grim sense of validation. Prince Harry spent years fighting the British press to protect his privacy. He left his family and his country to escape the tabloids. And now he faces an American court that could expose more secrets in 1 month than the British tabloids managed to find in 10 years. But even if they manage to dodge the lawsuit, the mansion itself is the sinking ship they are trapped on. We have arrived at the chapter Princess Anne reportedly calls the crumbling castle. To the outside world, the chateau of Riven Rock looks like a paradise. The roses bloom, the ocean glitters. But Princess Anne knows that houses do not care about your public image. They only care about math. And the math of this specific mansion is allegedly destroying them. Tyler Perry's ultimatum is driven by a brutal financial reality. He knows the asset he funded is bleeding cash. Let's look at the burn rate that has likely terrified their creditor. It isn't just the mortgage or the debt owed to Perry. That is merely the entry ticket. We are talking about 6-figure annual property taxes that must be paid whether Harry has a job or not. We are talking about landscaping for 7 acres in a drought-ridden state, the staff payroll and the image maintenance required to look like billionaires. But the biggest killer, the expense that Princess Anne warned would be their undoing, is security. In the UK, the Metropolitan Police protected them. In Montecito, they are on their own. We are talking about full-time private security teams that cost millions a year. This is a bill that used to be covered by British taxpayers but now falls entirely on Harry's credit card. Harry and Meghan didn't just buy a home, they bought a liability that eats cash while they sleep. Furthermore, real estate insiders have long whispered about the curse of Riven Rock. This specific area of Montecito is notorious for geological instability. It is prone to mudslides and flooding. Reports suggest that insuring a property like this is a nightmare, with premiums skyrocketing annually due to climate risks. Tyler Perry sees this. He realizes that if he doesn't demand his money now, the value of the collateral might be washed away literally or financially in 6 months. So what is the exit strategy? This brings us to the most desperate maneuver yet, the pocket listing. Rumors have circulated for months that Meghan has been quietly trying to offload the mansion via a pocket listing, trying to sell it secretly to avoid the humiliation of a public for sale sign. A public sale would be an admission of defeat. It would scream to the world, "We failed." So they are reportedly trying to find a buyer in the shadows. But with the market cooling and the money pit reputation spreading, buyers are scarce. From Princess Anne's perspective, this is the tragic, inevitable result of leaving the safety of the royal fold. She sees a couple who are house poor on a royal scale. They are trapped in a $20 million asset that is sitting under a growing question mark. Tyler Perry knows this better than anyone. He sees that the safety net is gone. No duchy money, no emergency bailouts from King Charles. He knows that if he sues, he might force the sale of the house. And perhaps in his brutal call, that was the point. He is forcing them to liquidate the symbol of their ego to pay the price of their debt. As we close the file on this Montecito saga, we are left with a lesson that is as old as time, yet one that Prince Harry seemingly forgot. True freedom cannot be financed. Tyler Perry didn't destroy a dream. He simply exposed the cost of one. For years, Harry and Meghan wanted the world to believe they were independent entrepreneurs blazing a new trail. But as Princess Anne has likely concluded, independence built on loans isn't independence, it's delay. And delay always ends the same way, with a reckoning. Harry and Meghan made a fatal trade. They traded the constraints of the monarchy for the shackles of debt. They left the goldfish bowl of the royal family where they were protected, only to jump into the shark tank of American high finance without a safety net. The Montecito mansion was supposed to be the symbol of their liberation. Instead, it has become the receipt, a multi-million-dollar monument to the fact that freedom was borrowed. And borrowed things always come with terms. Now I hand the gavel over to you, the jury of public opinion. The clock is ticking on Tyler Perry's 30-day ultimatum. If you were advising Harry right now, what would you tell him to do? Should he swallow his pride, sell the house, and pay his debts to avoid court? Or should he try to fight the Godfather? I want to hear your voice. Type pay up if you think they need to clear the debt immediately. Type sell it if you think they should abandon the Montecito dream. And if you appreciate us exposing the financial reality behind the Hollywood fairy tale, please smash that like button. It helps us keep the lights on and the investigations running. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel. This story isn't over. It's just done pretending.